Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome into Purple Playbook. I'm Alex Glaze, joined as always by two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. And for the first time in a long time, we can actually talk about football. Training camp, the first week is in the books. A lot of excitement, it feels like, from Ravens fans and players just with the first week. I know it's just training camp, but it feels like there's a different energy around this team right now.
It is, and typically I like to use it's like that back-to-school feeling where you're all excited about it, but this feels even more special than that. I think there's a different type of energy that we haven't seen here in a long time. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure, at least from my tenure, if it was an ever type situation, right? I just think the energy is good. I think the people are really good, and that's not to say great people weren't here before, because I know how easy it is for people to say, oh my gosh, that's because Harbs is gone. No, but I do think there's a new sense of excitement from guys who've been here, and that's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, well, you compared it to for the first week of school, the first day of school. We got ourselves a little bit of a surprise. Nnamdi Madubuike ran out onto the practice field. Just minutes before the first practice, the Ravens announced that Nnamdi had passed his physical and was cleared to participate in practice. We only saw him going through conditioning stuff with Scott Elliott, the Ravens strength and conditioning coordinator, but still a great sign to see number 92 out there. And you could just feel the energy and the players excited to have him out there.
Super exciting to see that dude out there with his jersey on and his helmet. He looks great. He's been working really hard, and I think there's positive things to come with him.
And it's great to have him back on the defensive line, help our secondary out. It's phenomenal. We needed him back, and thank God he's back, man. 100%. Can't say 100% yet. I don't know. I don't know about the medical, but he's back, and I'm looking forward to see him get a lot of sacks and disrupting a lot of offenses. Not ours, though.
Can't say 100%, but Nnamdi back out there. I got to tell you, I missed the tweet. I was out on the field. I must have bad service or something. Not going to call out my carrier right now, but but I missed the tweet. But I was looking on the field and I was like, "Is that 92?" And sure enough, it was. Obviously, there are steps that Nnamdi still has to go through before he's able to potentially return to playing actual football. But I mean, all signs are pointing to this being a legitimate return.
Yeah, and
from what was a career-threatening injury.
Listen, from my experience from being around these type of injuries, and again, we would never publicly know all of the details of his injury. However, when you're dealing with players and they have neck injuries, it typically looks one way. And for him to have the opportunity to come back, I mean, I know how hard he's been working for it. Everyone's been praying for his health first and foremost. But to see him out there in that field, it was really special. I mean, I shot him a message like, man, I can't believe it. Like, let's go. Extremely happy for him because I know how much it meant to him. Oftentimes with this game, you talk about always being one play away. And it felt like that was the one play. And typically it is for a lot of guys who have neck injuries. But to see him out there and working, it's a beautiful sign. They don't let you get on that field, especially with that type of injury, unless you've been cleared in a serious way. So I'm excited to see how he moves from this stage forward, but he looks like he's in great shape, and it's just about getting back to playing football because he hasn't played football in a year now.
Got to ask you, as a player who's dealt with injuries and kind of gone through hurdles to return to play yourself, just what is the next hurdle that Nnamdi has to clear before he's full go? What do you think that looks like over the next couple of days, weeks, however long?
Yeah, I think for them, they're gonna make sure like his conditioning is at the par first, right? Because the number one way to get hurt is to be out of shape, and two, just get back used to that type of contact. They'll ease him back in. You always want to be extremely careful when it comes to your head or your neck when it comes to injuries. So I'm sure they'll give him time.
So we'll see sleds, pads, and then eventually maybe
ramp it up, and then from there he'll be good to go.
Gotcha. Okay, well, Nnamdi obviously coming back would be a big boost for the Ravens defense. We're talking about one of the teams that seems like year after year has these Super Bowl expectations, and Lamar Jackson entering year 9 certainly is feeling the urgency on a different level this year. He even talked about how that urgency has grown with him as he gets ready to turn 30 years old.
Each and every year I'm getting older, not younger, so of course, it increases, but it starts now. Like I said, on the lounge, it starts now, training camp.
I don't want to age him, but he's turning a certain age next year, and, it doesn't seem like that. We'll keep that age between us, what age he's got to be, but I feel like he got faster. I feel like he ran today. It was really fast. I don't know if you guys saw that, but maybe that's just how he always runs.
I also want to clear the air. 30 is not bad. 29, I feel like was worse than 30. Now, but once you turn 30, now it's like I'm 34, and it's just like whatever until I guess 40, and then it's just maybe you just I don't even know what you look forward to after that. Just counting every day as a blessing.
In the real world, these days are easy, right? But in the football world, it seems like once there's a 3 before your age, it's like they feel like you're ancient. But for Lamar to be 30, it's throwing me off mentally. Just like, man, it's like he just got drafted. That's what it feels like. But time is flying, and he's one of the OGs of the team. He's the older guy. He's the vet, and he's the player that they've always had to lean on. But I think he's in a completely different space, even mentally, as a leader.
Yeah, I'll say this because I've been out at every training camp practice. He does look like he's got like that little extra burst. I know he was dealing with a lot last year, but it's funny that Kyle says that because I was thinking that on like the second day, just like, is he faster? Like, I'm not so sure, but it'll be interesting to see how he's utilized in this offense because of how multiple they're going to be and how many different ways they're going to attack offenses, obviously, or defense, I should say. Obviously, you're always going to have to pay attention to Lamar Jackson and his legs, but he's coming off a year, Torrey, where, you know, his production, when you're talking about from a rushing standpoint, was way down. So I'm not sure what to expect from that standpoint, but good, I guess, to know that he still has that kind of ability in the tank.
Yeah, he definitely has, and it's not going anywhere. You know, I think
that's him.
Lamar Jackson, it's important to remember. Lamar Jackson at his best is the best player in the league. Lamar Jackson in the middle of the pack is still one of the best playmakers in this league. So his ceiling is always going to be high. It's about health. And if he's able to be healthy, it's not like they're manufacturing a lot of QB runs. I don't think that's something that's going to become the norm. But Lamar makes a lot of plays on broken plays, and that's going to be what gets him back into his comfort zone. But he's healthy. He's flying around. He looks great. And I would expect to see the Lamar Jackson that we come to expect year in, year out, playing at an MVP type level.
We're going to talk a little bit about longevity in a few minutes, but I want to ask about Lamar's longevity because, as you know, when you get older, you have to attack your offseason in different ways. We saw him, incorporate boxing this year. I'm curious, how long do you think Lamar can keep playing at this high level as he continues to adapt and adjust to, one, his style of play, but also his offseason and taking care of his body?
I mean, you ask me, Lamar Jackson can play as long as any of these other guys, right? Talking 15-plus years at an extremely high level. Because as much as the quarterback can make you miss without having to run 1,000 yards, right? And that's what I think people forget, right? He's tough to tackle in the pocket, but he makes plays with his arm. He's not just a guy that's just running down the field. So I don't think there's any situation. I'm around Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is one of my best friends. Obviously, he was drafted to the Ravens. This is year 16 for him, right? He's one of the last few standing from our draft class at the quarterback position, but Tyrod Taylor can very much still make plays with his feet. So when I look at a guy like Tyrod and I think about what Lamar Jackson is, I'm like, there's no reason as to why he would slow down or wouldn't be considered a threat.
Yeah, in this day and age of science, technology, and the way that these guys are taking care of their body, definitely don't want to put a limit on what these guys can do. And when we're talking about longevity, I don't think anyone in this city is doing it better than Derrick Henry. When we come back, we are going to talk about King Henry's offseason, how he attacked it, and we're even going to talk about that R word, retirement. You are watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. As we return, we got to talk about Derrick Henry. And when you talk about Derrick Henry, everyone wants to talk about longevity. He's entering year 11. I believe he's 32 years old, I think, something like that. I mean, he's just still performing at such a high level. Everyone wonders, how does he do it? A lot is made about his diet and his offseason. He actually cleared the air up about his diet. I'm going to get to that in just a second here. But he said that he idolizes and pays attention to guys like LeBron James, someone else who's known for their longevity and doing it at a high level. But he learned something this offseason that maybe had him rethinking his plan.
Well, it was so funny. I seen LeBron do an interview, and he was saying that he don't know where someone got the rumor that he spends $1 million on his body. Apparently, that wasn't true, so I'm like, I might need to cut back on how much I spend then if he ain't spending $1 million. But he's the alpha and someone that you can look up to, and so many great things you can take from him. And anybody that puts out information about how they take care of their body, I'm always try to look at and try to see how I can implement to my own routine. But yeah, just trying to do what works for us and what makes us feel the best.
I don't know how much Derrick Henry spends on the offseason on his body, but $1 million was the rumor for LeBron. But that stuff's expensive when you're talking about trainers, massages, all the therapies and things that. But you went through $1 million. That's a lot of money.
$1 million is expensive if you're hiring someone to be your guy. Like
I think you have a lot of different guys and
women
women
you
on
can
your
justify.
team.
Like NBA players, I think people have to separate professional athletes like by tiers, right? The top tier is the NBA. These guys are making
Money's
a different
different,
type of money, right? And you have your NFL players, you have the quarterbacks at the top of that. You can hire a personal masseuse and still not pay as much. Like, to get to $1 million, I don't know what. I love that he said that was the rumor, because that means they're going with you on vacation. That means they're going all these kind of places. I'm not really buying it, but I will say guys that are conscious of their bodies clearly last longer, right? That's just sports science. That's something that people have been able to learn over the years, and players like Derrick Henry, players like LeBron have been able to take full advantage of it. I mean, I remember looking at videos and watching players back in the day smoking cigarettes in the locker room. Right? They're showing all kinds of different things in the highlights, and now that's just not the norm because people know better. So I think it's proof of these careers going at guys playing at a high level longer. It goes to show the difference in sports science. And Derrick Henry is one of those guys where I don't see him like having a huge, just major drop off. I think he looks great physically. I think mentally he's there as well, and he's going to have a solid season this year because he's still physically running well.
Interesting to hear Derrick talk about his diet and clear things up, because so much is made about his diet, and he says he does have cheat days and he enjoys. Apparently, fried chicken is one of the many things he enjoys on his cheat days, and he does. So he says if you see him in a restaurant, cut him some slack, especially in the off season, because he likes to enjoy himself. But I also learned that he doesn't eat before noon, so he's doing these morning practices without eating.
Fasting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would pass out. The way my body works.
He told me to don't try it.
I need to eat before I work out. I'm experiencing that now as a retired athlete who's trying to keep himself in shape. If I don't eat, I'm lightheaded, I'm dizzy, I'm all kinds of things. I don't know how he does it, but everyone's body is different. I think if you understand that, what works for one person may not work for the next, but I think it's clear when you see guys performing at a certain level, they have a plan, they're sticking with it, and it works for them. That's a major shift, and really it's the practice schedule that kind of dictated how that impacts his personal life.
Well, these practices are early for us. They're late for Zay Flowers, who has become used to 5 a.m. workouts that he was doing all offseason. Tried to get Lamar involved a couple times, had to maybe call him 5, 6, 7 times to get Lamar up out of the bed. But Zay attacked this offense differently and intentionally for one big reason.
You got to make an impression. New coaches, staff, something new. Like I got the last system we was in. You can get used to something. And then when you get used to it, you can kind of find your ways around it and do stuff. But this one, I just want to make a good impression, be back in shape, top tier, and, and put it on the field.
Yeah, Zay looks great. I'm just curious, with this offense, we've heard Jesse this offseason just talk about how he wants to get the ball in Zay's hands as much as possible, right? And it's one thing to say that, but from being out there, it does seem like they want to get the ball in Zay's hands in as many different ways. That's just my observation from being out there a few days. What does that tell you about maybe a philosophy shift? I don't know if that's the right way to put it, with how Declan Doyle plans to utilize the weapons that are on this team.
I think it just goes to show how much they actually value him, right? Like, the contract hasn't come yet to show that, but when it comes to the player that's on the field, what the coaches are saying doesn't align with what fans and some media pundits are saying. They clearly believe he is a guy that needs the ball, a guy that you can feed. And I think Zay's proven and earned his stripes in this league as one of the top receivers in this league. So I think it's going to be a big year for him, having the ability to get the ball multiple ways. I think they did a good job of him seeing the ball last year. Now seeing how it operates within the framework through the lens of a different coordinator, I'm interested to see how creative they can get with his touches.
And it's so interesting just to hear the discourse when we're talking about Zay, because a lot of people want to focus on touchdown production, 5 touchdowns. And if he's the number one guy, how come he only has 5 touchdowns? There is so much more that goes into this than just touchdowns. That being said, though, is there something to maybe Zay needing to find the end zone more? Or do you think that that's kind of a point that's just, fantasy football just kind of taking over the conversation?
You get double-digit touchdowns, that's 10 catches. right? Well, why does it matter if you get inside the 5-yard line 10 times and Derrick Henry runs it in? It's the same effect, right? I think it's great when a receiver finishes in the end zone. I know personally, I definitely used to score a lot, right? That was kind of a thing for me, but I had a lot of big play opportunities where I could make that happen, right? But touchdowns, Julio Jones was a guy who was one of the best big play receivers in the history of the game. He didn't score a lot of touchdowns. On the flip side of that, Antonio Brown did score a lot of touchdowns. So I think touchdowns are a stat that, while it's nice, it doesn't really tell the whole story about how everything is going, because at the end of the day, it's just one catch, right? And is the team scoring when you're involved? That's the bigger metric. How's the team doing when you're getting catches? If you're getting multiple catches on a drive, is the team finishing in the end zone, or are you just padding stats? I think those are the true numbers that matter.
All that being said, Zay did say he's hoping that this does lead to more touchdowns for him. He did say that he's hoping that
you should end up getting in that box a little bit more. But as a receiver, I used to always have in my mind that you want to get 1,000 yards and you want to get double-digit touchdowns, right? I was able to accomplish both, never in the same year. However, that's something that you want to go out and do. And I think for Zay, it's definitely feasible with the way he's going to be using this offense.
All right, well, we're going to be talking about Zay a whole lot more, I'm sure, as the training camp progresses. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to play Something or Nothing. You're watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. It is time for Something or Nothing. So we're going to throw out a topic, and you tell me if it's something or nothing. We're talking about the new energy that is out at the Ravens practice, and it all starts with the head guy, Jesse Minter. A lot of players had a lot to say about the energy, and some may interpret those comments maybe being pointed at somebody who used to be here in Baltimore.
I think he just brings a positive, mentality and optimistic outlook on, every individual in the building. He just pumps belief into the players. And
he's been great about, coming to the older guys and just hearing them out and listening and, kind of incorporating that within our day-to-days on the field, whatever it may be. So I think that's incredibly important. Just the open communication that we have with this staff is awesome.
All right, well, we hear communication, obviously a big point of Jesse, one of the pillars of what he wants to bring. But when you hear these guys kind of talking, it sounds like they're talking about things that maybe weren't happening before. When you're talking about player input, listening, I don't want to put you in a tough spot, but just kind of how do you interpret those comments?
I think how it matters.
Is that something or nothing?
I think it's a bunch of. I think it's something.
Okay.
I really do, because whether it's true or not, all that matters is how you feel, right? I can present one thing to you and I can communicate a certain way, and if you don't feel like you're being heard and you don't feel like you understand, that's a completely different ballgame. So I feel like it does matter, and it's not necessarily about what was done before. It's about how they feel now. If you want a team to do well, you have to have a group that buys into what you're doing. You have to have a group that believes in what's going on. And it seems like now everyone feels like they're on the same page. We've had those opportunities here, right? And we've even had conversations from team to coach in the past where it was very hostile to get to that same spot. So I think there's going to be highs and lows at all times. I do think this is very much a honeymoon type phase of trying to figure it out. But what I don't believe is a honeymoon type phase is you have a coach in Jesse Minter who's being intentional about communicating and locking in with his team. I think that's something he's probably been able to learn and watch. He's been able to play for a couple of great, be behind a couple of great coaches. And he comes from a coaching background. And I think him seeing what's happened with people over the course of his journey, I think has really helped him as a coach. And that's a skill, a major skill. So I think there's a bunch of something to it.
As a player, what does that do for you, though, when you're talking about, you heard Ronnie talk about just the positive energy, optimistic outlook. That's not everybody's, position, when they're talking about, you're talking about an outlook on certain situations. Just what does that do for you as a player if somebody's always breathing that positivity into you?
Man, I think it matters. It really does. I think when we like to view football players as like these macho men, which there's a lot of that kind of happens when you're playing, right? It's a very physical game, but I do truly believe that everyone loves to feel like they're valued and that they're respected. Does that mean you want to avoid accountability? Absolutely not. Does that mean you want to be coddled all the time? Absolutely not. But there's a level of respect at this level specifically. When you're younger, college and below, you can kind of have a coach that it's like their way or the highway. But I truly believe that that communication level at the top level, when you have guys that are married, guys that have whole families, guys that are gonna get gold jackets one day, and you're talking to them how the game should be played, and it does matter in terms of how that's viewed, and keeping the peace between the locker room and that coaching staff goes a long way because everyone gets to be on the same page.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to see how the Ravens navigate all of this new as training camp progresses and we get into the regular season. But for now, we are going to take a break and wrap up the show. When we come back, you're watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJZ's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. As we wrap up the show, I got to ask you about rookie Jacoby Lane, your guy. Made a big play during the week, going up top. It's something that we haven't seen. We have about 30 seconds. What are you expecting to see out of Jacoby this year as he makes that first splash play of training camp?
The thing that stood out about that play was his catch radius, right? He's a guy that even if he's not open, he can go up and get the ball. And I think that's something that's been missing in his offense. It's also something that he can add but not have to be a hero with volume. He just has to be able to make those plays when they present themselves.
Absolutely. It was really cool to see him make that play. Also love seeing the celebration, but I also loved a couple plays later how Marlon made the pass breakup, and then we had Jesse Minter come in and celebrate with the DB. So it's cool to see all that energy.
No bias there. That's a defensive coach.
That's going to do it for Purple Playbook. We will be back next week. Trading him continues.
Marlon.